Hello, I am Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be making this video about my quick thoughts basically on the Final Fantasy evolutions, as well as the Void Damage Penetration Awakening. So, I've been dealing with quite a few real-life things, like trying to make a new computer that doesn't work. I'm even actually moving shortly as well, so packing things, trying to showcase the condo, so on and so forth. So, quite hectic and busy in itself. So, this is somewhat brief. It's not a full review of the whole Final Fantasy collab, but just mostly noting the key aspects or traits of this new Void Damage Penetration Awakening. So basically this Void Damage Penetration Awakening will be referred to as the Box Awakening because the other is way too long to say. And the Box Awakening essentially is something like follow-up attack. It's basically an effect that occurs when you match a specific pattern. So for follow-up attack, you have to match exactly 5 hearts in a column, and Void Damage Box Awakening has to match exactly a 3x3 box of the same color, no more, no less. So basically you make like a 3x3 box and cut it off of other orbs of the color for the card that has that awakening. So if you're a red card, you need to match a red box. Now, when you trigger the Box Awakening, that card in particular, and only that card in particular, will receive a 2.25 times attack boost, as well as ignore any damage void shields that a boss has. So that means if your monster was able to one-shot a boss by themselves and there was a damage void occurring, it would actually one-shot it and you don't have to worry about anything whatsoever. Furthermore, that card itself gains a significant bonus. So say your team was providing 100 times multiplier, you activate the box, that card is hitting for 250%, basically 250 times multiplier. So like it's a very large damage boost, and this damage boost will still occur even if there's no damage void to ignore or void. So this is a great way for a specific card to essentially gain a very large spike in damage, and that large spike in damage can be utilized to help punch through high defense cards. So for example, let's say you can form 2 3x3 boxes, which you can do of the same color on a 6x5 board. You do that, that card is going to be receiving 6.25 times additional multiplier on top of whatever multiplier you had. You're most likely going to one-shot those pre-draws, so this is a fantastic way for you to basically skirt another mechanic with a powerful awakening. And because of this, I'm actually going to be replacing Guard Break in my holy trinity of powerful awakenings. Right now it's still 7 combo awakening and follow-up attack, and now we have Box Awakening. So essentially this Box Awakening is going to potentially change the way you play the game. It's a way to add additional damage at the cost of combo count in order to void those damage voids. Now, unfortunately, despite the fact that it's such a wonderful awakening, it's going to be restricted to Final Fantasy characters that have a pixel evolution. So essentially, what are the applications for the Box Awakening? So the Box Awakening's applications are obviously to ensure that you can sweep through bosses and content much more easily that have this void mechanic. Now, off the top of my head, the monsters that I can think of are Noah, Gaia, and Zeus Dragon, Vultan, Azoth, Miru, Sharon, and Scarlet First Form. And basically by using this Box Awakening, you can help basically revealize all those spawns if you're able to hit large enough damage from that Box Awakening card. So while it may be challenging for one card to deal, say, like 70 million damage for Zeus Dragon, if you have multiple like cards with the Box Awakening, those each cards individually gain the multiplier bonus themselves, so you could potentially have, say, 2 on your team and potentially do enough damage overall. But the main idea is like it's going to allow you to have an easier or safer time when dealing with these spawns, because we're in this current day and age where leaders have outrageously high damage multipliers. The fact that you can utilize a Box Awakening will allow you to punch through with potentially just one card. It's not uncommon for one card to hit for 70 million damage, especially when they get an additional 2.5 times on top of their existing multiplier. So it's going to make your life easier, but can we attribute this to a form of power creep? So we can definitely liken this Box Awakening to that of a Fujin style active, in that it made your life significantly easier and safer for those particular spawns. While Fujin breaks absorptions like Sopdet, Vishnu, Hera Dragon, the Box Awakening breaks things like the mentioned cards above. They don't overlap. You are actually needing either both to counter all those spawns, or if you're missing Fujin, you can't deal with Sop Debt by just pressing a single active skill or matching a box. You can match a Box Awakening, it's not going to hurt Sop Debt, it's just going to heal her. So just bear in mind that it's Damage Void and Absorption, two unique aspects or traits. So going back to the notion of power creep. So power creep is essentially the idea that newer cards and mechanics are going to be outclassing older monsters. And this is actually a very healthy aspect of any video game, because we need to have manageable rates of power creep to keep the game interesting. If we were still stuck in the Archangel Lucifer meta, people would have lost interest very quickly because it was somewhat grindy and slow, albeit effective at the time. So we need to have a certain advancement over the period of 5 years, because Pad is 5 years old. And if we are going to take, for example, the Heartcross meta, that was too much power creep too fast. The Heartcross meta essentially trivialized all prior existing leaders because it just did more damage, had more safety, more consistency overall. So we can't have something going that fast and that quickly overall. And that was just an unfortunate thing, because it basically made Gung-Ho struggle to a certain extent to create content that was hard enough for the Heartcross meta, which further pushed out other teams, as well as them ramping up very quickly the rate and power of the monsters you have currently available to basically keep abreast with the Heartcross meta. So with all that being said, can we liken this Box Awakening to a form of power creep? And sadly the answer is yes. And it's sad because it's very restrictive in how it works, because you only can have Final Fantasy characters. So for a lot of lower IAP players, it's going to be challenging to roll in a collab, because the best cards that have the Box Awakening are the rarer ones, so it is going to be a large stone sink. And the thing is, I need to, holy shoot, someone's at my door. One moment. Hello? 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 Yep. Yep, buzzing you. Got a delivery. Regardless, Puzzle and Dragons is it is a form of power creep, but it's restricted because only Final Fantasy characters can have it, so it's going to be annoying for the average player to gain. Now, the thing is, Puzzle and Dragons is a very grindy game by nature. We are playing the same dungeon over and over again to get those desired drops, pluses, pies, tans, whatever it may be. We need to get those drops, so we play dungeons over and over again. So you want to obviously min-max your overall experience. One moment. You want to min-max your overall experience. So if you could save, say, 30 seconds, 45 seconds on a short dungeon, you want to do that every single time. Furthermore, if it increases the consistency of your clears, it's going to make it easier, more mindless, more brainless. You want to take that avenue. And the thing is, we do obviously have mechanics or leaders in place that can counter the void damage spawns. Like, we have no Skyfall leaders, we have plenty of leaders who can hit under those thresholds required, so it's not like it's impossible to do so with the current spawns that we have right now. But the thing is, once you have the Box Awakening, it's going to be hard to go back to older, more savage methods, so to speak, because it's going to be easy. You pop the active, you make the box, everything dies. Like, you don't have to think anymore. So that's the main issue that's going to happen with the Box Awakening. And like I said, while we do have counters for the present day spawns, future content is going to obviously be harder. And my largest fear is going to be content that becomes so impossibly hard that it is out of reach for the players who don't have the Box Awakening, or for those who don't have the perfectly optimized end-to-end game teams. So that is my main concern or hesitation with this type of power creep, because it's so restrictive. Because the thing is, do we really need it at this point in time? No, we don't. Like, it's mostly beneficial to players who are hardcore farmers who want to play the end game content right now and go as fast and as easily as possible. So we don't need to have it, but it's going to make it a lot easier. But the problem with the Box Awakening is that Unlike, say, Fujin style active skills, Fujin is used on active skills so it can be inherited, which means that you can piggyback off of a friend. You don't need to own the card yourself. And that's very important for players who are very unlucky or just don't have the luxury of rolling the rare machine that often. Like for myself, I don't have a Fujin style active on any of my accounts. So basically I can piggyback off of a friend and have access to that active skill. So with the Box Awakening, that's not going to happen. And most of the cards are good subs. They can be leaders, but the thing is they generally want to pair with themselves. So if you don't have the leader, you can't really pair that effectively. And if you're doing too little damage, what's the point? Like, you only have one Box Awakening, it may not even penetrate through the void. So it's going to be a problematic scenario overall. And like I said, I'm not a huge fan of this direction that Pat is taking because it's become even more restrictive to have the necessary tools to deal with future and harder content. Because let's take, for example, Hanuman in Cosmic Trinity on floor 6. He is essentially impossible to kill, like impossible to kill without a Fujin style active. You either stall 99 turns or quit the dungeon. Like, there's no middle ground. You won't be able to kill him unless you do either one of those options. And that's the wrong direction I feel Pat is taking with that particular spawn in that dungeon, that mechanic. It's just not a pleasant thing overall, because when I go, say, my 2 accounts, I encounter him, I'm just like, yep, I quit. I'm not going to spend 99 turns, all that time, effort. Like, I could just play through probably 3, 4, 5 more runs before I even finish those 99 turns. So it is a problematic aspect when we have that level of dependency on certain counters. We can't use creativity to bypass them. But regardless, I hope the Box Awakening doesn't take that path with future spawns with damage voids, because essentially it is a lack of accessibility. It's not an active skill, you can't inherit it, you have to have that card in particular. So I'm just going to briefly talk about the pixel evolution. So basically we now have animated moving characters in Puzzle & Dragons. Like, wow, it's 2017, we have advanced really far. Like, Pad, I feel like, could have had so much more richness if everything was animated. Like, I would be pretty excited if things had animations, they had either like voiceovers or even some more sound effects, like something like to make it a little more lively, because basically we do get very attached to these cards and they are essentially a 2D drawing overall. Like, they don't add any other depth or dimension to themselves. But regardless, the pixel evolutions are a new type of evolution for the Final Fantasy characters that are 5 or 6 stars, and they are the older ones, not the newer ones released. So all the old 5, 6 stars can gain a pixel evolution, and the decision whether you should make the pixel evolution or not is going to basically come down to whether or not you need that damage void awakening and if you can truly benefit from it. Furthermore, with the pixel evolution, it's kind of like an awoken evolution because their active skill and leader skills do change dramatically. So you can gain additional combo counts, you can unlock orbs as additional perks and benefits to their changed active skills. So there may be merit to even making the pixel evolution even if you don't need the damage void. However, most case scenarios you are going to want the damage void awakening. And the only real exception I can think of to this is Yuna, because Yuna has double 7 combo awakening, and being able to deal spectacular amounts of damage with 7 combos is a very valuable aspect to have. So overall, like, the pixel evolutions are generally going to be stronger, but of course if you have a niche usage for them without the pixel evolution, it's best to keep them there, and obviously have the pixelet on hand so you can change the evolution if the situation requires you to do so. So basically, in conclusion, should we roll or not roll? So if you are an endgame player and you really prioritize heavily farming content efficiently, it is worth picking up a pixel evolution. Ideally, if you get the 6-star ones, that's ideal, because that will make your life significantly easier. You can basically mow through content very quickly because you won't have to stall or do any weird finesse things. And right now, the easiest way to activate a Box Awakening is do a full board change. Say you do like a full board of whatever color, and then you use something like Wee Jas. Wee Jas will give you exactly 6 hard orbs, and you can arrange those 6 hard orbs in such a way they have a line of 3, cuts off with 1 extra orb here, and you have a 3x3 box. So that is the easiest way to form the Box Awakening, or trigger the Box Awakening, if you want to use as little actives and as little thought as possible. So basic conclusion, like, the pixel evolutions will dramatically increase your capability to farm challenging content because you essentially ignore those damage void shields, but only that one card in particular gains that perk and benefit, as well as the 2.5 5 times multiplier. Multiple boxes will stack and increase the damage of that particular card. So there becomes a certain issue of running multiple Box Awakening cards on the same team if you're fortunate enough to have that. Because basically if you have 2 Box Awakenings, you're basically doubling your damage output to void through the damage void shields. Because let's say you're fighting Noah Dragon and has like 32 million health. Say your Box Awakening card only hits for 20 million. Well, that's not going to really help, unfortunately. But if you have 2 Box Awakening cards hitting for 40 million total, that will actually kill the Noah Dragon. So overall, like, this is an interesting way. It's going to make farming a lot easier. Cosmic Trinity now has efficient carry setups for all 3 spawns. Most players can make a carry setup for the 2 common spawns, but the purple spawn now has the Box Awakening counter. So let me know what you think about the Box Awakening overall in the comments below. Do you think the Final Fantasy collab is worth rolling in? And if you did roll, how lucky were you? Hopefully you all have a fantastic day. I wish you all the best of luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.